Hello? Is it working now? Can I hear me?
Hello, my friend. We meet again. It's been a while. Where should we begin?
I told you. I know the song.
The bars are working now, though, right?
They are definitely
Okay,
working.
good.
Lots of bars. You almost blew my eardrums.
My bad.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Good to see you back again, friend.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to be seen.
Here we are on a Sunday, yet again, for everybody's entertainment.
Yep.
Talking about sacrifice.
Yep.
Brought back cool guy Jeff.
Yeah. What you wear that for today?
Just because, it's sacrifice felt like a heavy topic, so wanted to lighten the mood by throwing the shades on, which basically means I turn into cool guy Jeff when the shades are on.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I thought it was to intimidate me because you look like Debo from Friday, so there's always that.
Keeping it real on these streets, man. That's how I like to.
Real.
Keeps it real.
All the time.
There you go.
Real talk. Tough guy Jeff.
Yeah, that song, My Sacrifice by Creed, been stuck in my head ever since we decided on the topic this week.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
So, Creed, they're great.
Yeah. One of the best bands of the 90s.
I don't know about best bands of the 90s.
One of.
And I'm pretty sure they were early 2000s. Not
Was
90s.
it early 2000s?
Yeah. Maybe their
late 90s.
First album, maybe.
You're probably right.
But like Higher, the one that really
took
off.
that was 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Sacrifice. Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, I got
Intro.
Yeah.
Do it.
I'll intro. So what just happened is we had another technical snafu, and now we're trying to replicate the last 8 minutes of podcast that you missed. Jeff may put some in. I don't know.
I mean, you can't hear me, though. That's the thing. That's why we stopped.
And that's why it's the best podcast ever. No.
Yeah, it's just James.
Hey, well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Mats with your host, Jeffrey F. Spain Jr., and me, your co-host, James Anthony Williams, where we are celebrating a lucky number 13 episode entitled Sacrifice. What you giving up?
Or Soccer Face.
Soccer face. It's it's another way of helping you learn how to spell it. I don't know. Just heard it one day and I was like, you know what? That's funny. I'm gonna call people Soccer Face.
This episode was almost called James on the Mats.
What? Why was that?
Because you couldn't hear me.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was literally no bars for Jeff, and I'm thinking to myself, I feel like he's talked more than that. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
And that's where we identified our gap. But, just quick reboot of unplugging and plugging stuff back up, and then it works again.
And we're looking good now, right?
Oh, yes. There are bars for both of us.
Perfect. So, sacrifice, connecting it to jiu-jitsu, one of the first things that I thought about was when you're in a submission, like an armbar, and let's say somebody's attacking it from closed guard, and you're defending, and you end up on your back defending, because a lot of times they leg press your head down to the floor, and they end up giving up the armbar to come up to mount.
Yeah.
And so you sacrificed position to survive the submission.
Yeah.
And even though we always talk about position over submission, position over submission, and the reverse of that, it's kind of the opposite when you're being attacked.
Yeah, take the position and leave the submission, please.
It's better to survive in those moments than to try to yank your arm out and potentially injure yourself.
Right. And we were talking earlier how certain animals in the wild do the same thing. Like there are certain lizards that if attacked by another animal, their tail comes off easy enough that they can get away and still survive to fight another day. And I think there's several other animals that do that as well. But that's one of those same adages of, well, I want to continue to play the game. I want to continue to fight. But the only way I could do that is if I give up something that's more enticing or easier to get to than the submission currently. So if it means going to your back to prevent somebody from subbing you, I mean, yeah, you'll give up the mount, but from bottom mount, you still have the opportunity to try to get back to your guard. So there's benefits to it just by giving up or sacrificing something.
Well, why don't you go ahead and tell them what animal you thought?
Hey, it ain't a thought, Jeff. Don't make me Google this, all right? So if I understand correctly, I'm pretty sure that squirrels, their tails separate relatively easy enough that if a predator were to get a hold of him, their tail will come off and they can get away. And that's why their tails bop and fluff around as much as they do, is kind of a distraction so that the predator goes for that as opposed to the body.
So you think a squirrel's tail just detaches from its body? Does
I
it grow
think
a new one?
It does not grow a new one because it's a mammal.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure their tails come off pretty easy for those reasons. I'm gonna Google it. I can't do it right now because we're midstream and my desktop ain't working right now.
That's fair. I'm gonna call baloney on that.
All right.
But,
well, you know what?
I could be proven wrong. I'm sure somebody will prove me wrong, or
That's fine.
you wrong.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't mind being wrong. I'm okay with being wrong. I'm married. I've been told I'm wrong a lot.
Now, in terms of jiu-jitsu, that's one example of sacrifice. I think another example is as we age, we have to sacrifice our ego to a degree because the younger up-and-coming generation of white belts and blue belts, even if you've been training a long time, you can get outpaced by some of the younger athletic guys. And,
Oh, yeah.
not only that, you have to make more sacrifices to stay healthy. So your diet plays a big role. I think the longer you train, how you recover, diet plays a huge part. So things you may have been able to eat when you were younger, you're not able to anymore because of the inflammation it causes, or interrupts your sleep patterns. Food plays a bigger role in how we train the older we get.
And not only that, just the way your body metabolizes it. It's not as easy to push through 2 triple cheeseburgers or whatever you used to eat as a teenager and as a 50, 60-year-old man trying to consume that and still train on the mats. It can be very detrimental to you. So you have to sacrifice your comfort to be able to do the things that you want to do.
And I think when you do that, it enhances your training.
It does.
You're able to move more. You're not as in much pain when you're like recovering from those hard training days.
Yeah.
Which is another thing you have to sacrifice, is how often you train hard.
Yeah.
Not every day can be a battle to the death because your career will be cut short.
Right. And I think even before you step on the mats, you make the sacrifice of deciding, do I want to train today? Because you have to, anytime you go to do jiu-jitsu, it's probably a sacrifice of something else. There's something else you could be doing or would rather do, or something someone else would rather you do with that time. But you have to sacrifice those moments to say that, no, this, while it may be tough today, it's what I want to do. So I need to invest the time in it so that I can reap the benefits of it. Generally, I believe you make sacrifices with the intention of getting something in the end, whether it be I give up this today so that I could have peace tomorrow, or I give up my time today so that my kids can feel better about me tomorrow, or whatever that may be. So you make those sacrifices with the intention of getting some form of return. So even in jiu-jitsu, you give up one thing so that you can improve your position or continue to fight.
Yeah, I like that you and I were talking about sacrifice, and I think of if I had to quote sacrifice as what it means, is it's temporary suffering, but in the long term, you suffer less because you sacrifice.
Yeah.
So, you might, like we said before, sacrifice some of your vices in order to get ahead. But when we indulge ourselves too much in those things, we end up suffering as a result. So sacrificing early on, which could mean just moderation.
Yeah, it could.
But in general, you end up suffering less as a result of that sacrifice. I feel like that's a big misconception. It's just like when you start a business, you end up having to work a lot of hours. You sacrifice your time. But in the long haul, if your business is successful and you do the things you're supposed to do, you grow as a person and your business grows, you suffer less because now it's established.
Yeah. And when I think about that same adage in terms of jiu-jitsu, hours on the mats, the more time you're able to sacrifice up front in your training, you may reap the benefits of that sooner and see that, hey, I don't struggle as much for as long because I've invested a lot of time in it, so that now I'm kind of moving and understanding it better, or at a quicker pace than if I were to do one class a week for the next 2-3 years.
I can speak from experience of how my training has evolved. And early in my training, I used to fight hard, like grip things like extremely tight, try to win, try to force techniques to work. And as I've gotten old, now that I have experience, not only do I pick and choose my moments when I roll hard, but I can also, even in the hard rolls, I know when to relax, concede, let things go, slow things down. I'm not tied to victory. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You know, I sacrifice the idea of thinking that I have to win every roll, and it's more about the art itself. It's more about like, where can I go from here? How can I mislead my opponent to make this technique easy?
Yeah. Or maybe not so much sacrificing what you just mentioned. It sounds more like sacrificing your ego, because in those moments, it sounds like if you're tied to victory, victory is usually basically you saying, hey, I want to win this because I want to have that feeling of victory. And generally that feeling is attached to ego. So if you are saying like, hey, I'm going to give up the idea of having to win this roll or this round to basically say, I'm going to sacrifice these moments so that I could continue to play the game instead.
And it all depends on what your goals are, right? Because if your goal is to compete, you do have to have an element of efficiency and caring about like singular paths, right?
Right.
You don't want to be so ambiguous in the way you roll, like a flow roll, where it's like, oh, now all of a sudden my back's been taken and I can't get out because this guy realized his opportunity and I was playing too passively.
Right.
So
no, I agree with that. Side note, yes, squirrels' tail can come off quite easily as a defense squirrel mechanism. It's a survival mechanism.
Gay.
So, I'm just telling you, man. Like, hey, that's what the internet says. Like the tail comes off to defend them. So I heard it.
You win this time, James.
I don't have to win. I don't have to win. It's not a big deal. I don't have to be right.
I concede your to your squirrel knowledge.
Just a little bit, Jeff. I mean, I know things. Kind of like people on Game of Thrones. I know things.
What, like Game of Thrones? What reference? What do you mean?
Peter Dinklage character.
Oh, he says that.
He says, I drink and I know things.
Okay.
I don't drink, but I know things. So, Game of Thrones style.
There you go.
There you go. But other avenues in jiu-jitsu where you have to sacrifice, like ultimately you're sacrificing your body when you think about it, because the wear and tear that it could potentially have on you, you got to be willing to put yourself on the line to say, okay, I'm okay with what potentially comes of this, but I do realize that if I just allow things to happen in a way that's safe for me, meaning I tap when I need to, meaning that I train on the days where I need to train, but I don't train as hard as I can, like you said earlier. All of those different small sacrifices you make add up to what you'll gain in the end, which is better technique, longevity, improvement in technique and skill. So your body as a whole has to be willing to sacrifice to improve at this sport. We're not playing patty cake, so you got to understand, like, there will be times where you feel perfectly fine, but you get home and things will hurt. And if you ignore those things, well, you're not going to be able to play the game long. You have to be willing to sacrifice the right efforts. And sometimes, like you've mentioned in the past, you have to maybe do some conditioning outside of jiu-jitsu just to pad your muscles and your joints so that you can continue to do it longer. That's another sacrifice you have to make, because if all you do is jiu-jitsu and everything feels great, there will come a day where you'll get aches and pains in your joints, and it's a good idea to sacrifice time where you can to continue to kind of pad your stats in other places so that you can continue.
Yeah, your thought process has to evolve the older you get.
Yeah.
You have to sacrifice your old ways of thinking. When you're younger, you can go hard. You can train to win more often. And like you said, as we age, your training is going to start to look vastly different. I could speak from experience that mine is no longer about winning like we spoke about before, but most of my hardcore exercise comes from weight training and like fitness, you know? So like if I rely on just jiu-jitsu to stay in shape, I'll be crippled. I feel that, you know, it's been training for 10 years, over 10 years.
Yeah, over 10.
Yeah. So, and it used to work for a while for me to just go in and roll hard and break a sweat. And I felt like that was enough. And it was. And now I didn't weight train. I didn't really like do cardio and stuff like that, but I've always done movement drills. And that's the one thing that if I had to preach about any form of conditioning outside of jiu-jitsu itself, is movement. I think is really important. Knowing how to move your body, because it doesn't really matter. You could be strong and you can be flexible and you can have a great stamina, but if you don't have a direction on where you're supposed to go when you're inverted or you know, how to shift your hips, how to back roll, how to forward, like all these things that we can find ourselves in jiu-jitsu, I feel like that is more important because ultimately when we get hurt, it's because we don't understand how we're supposed to move, right? We turn the wrong way. Yeah. We get stacked on our neck because we don't know how to go over our shoulder.
Right.
Man, mobility, if I had to preach anything, it would be like train your body to know how to move.
Right. I would say, to kind of add on to what you were just mentioning, but there's other aspects of sacrifice as well that even in the sport, we talk about how to sacrifice, but what are those moments? I guess because you want to, at some point, you have to learn this is that moment that I need to sacrifice. And the one that always comes to my head, and every time somebody asks me, like, hey, which is the lesser of two evils, is kind of the decision that you have to make. For the longest, I would fight and fight so that you couldn't sweep me. And every time I'd fight for an extended period of time, it would result in you taking my back. And it was one of the things you told me off to the side. Well, just look at the two. I said, I want to keep you from taking my back. How do I stop it? And your response was, well, you got to let me sweep you because you're already behind. You're in a position where I'm going to sweep you, but the more you fight it, the more you expose your back. So I had to learn those are those moments where I have to sacrifice this position or sacrifice playing top so that I could at least continue to play the game, because once Jeff gets on your back, it's over. Like, you're not getting him off.
Some people will probably challenge that.
Not me. I'm not going to challenge it. I know where my bread is buttered. Listen, what I'm saying is if you're in one of those positions where you keep repeatedly losing what you're trying to avoid, you have to evaluate, okay, which one is the lesser of the two evils? And that's where you start to grow and develop into when are the moments where I need to be willing and know what and how much to sacrifice. Because in jiu-jitsu, in that scenario, it's much easier to see it because it's a point system. Well, if I let him sweep me, well, that gives up 2 points and I may be able to get back to my guard. But if I let him take my back, well, I give up 4 points, and now he's in a good position to finish this whole game.
Give up the sweep, too.
Exactly. So it just makes more.
Still give up the sweep is what I mean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it just, from a mathematical standpoint, it makes more sense to say, okay, I'm not really going to be able to prevent this sweep from happening. Let me just protect my back and see if I can re-guard. And if I can continue to play the game, and I could possibly get those 2 points back and keep pushing and maybe even win the whole thing. So knowing when to sacrifice, knowing what to sacrifice, that's where you start seeing your own personal growth of how do I develop and improve in this sport and in other things in life.
Yeah, because in a high level match or even just a competitive match, you're gonna get swept. Guys are gonna escape. Things are gonna happen.
Yeah.
Nobody is so superhuman that they can stop movement
Yeah,
altogether.
exactly.
Unless there's a huge wage disparity or
Which we've
experience,
seen.
yeah. But to your point, what you were talking about is, I think, a good lesson for all newer jiu-jitsu people, which is anytime you're trying to pass somebody, there's usually not just your pass, but also back take opportunities, because somebody who doesn't want to concede bottom position is going to turtle.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes side by side with what we were talking about with you as well, with sweeping. If somebody doesn't want to go put their back on the mat, they're going to turn.
Yeah.
And I think when you're training techniques, you should always explore two sides of that coin, not just ending up on top, but what would happen if they turned this way or turned that way, and where is my back take, or where is my armbar opportunity? Putting a fork in the road where your opponent has to sacrifice one or the other. Right? They have to make a decision, and neither of them are good, versus just trying to force one technique.
Right. I think it's, especially with submissions, anytime you've got one submission, you should be pretty close to a couple others at the same time, and constantly threatening all of them puts you in a better position to be able to finish. As an example, arm bars where you can lock up a Kimura as well. Mm-hmm. You've got the Kimura attack, you've got the arm bar, you've got a back take. If you're high enough belt level, you've got a bicep slicer, you've got wrist locks, and all of that is in the same wheelhouse. The same as if you're attacking somebody from the back. You've got the opportunity for a choke, but you've also got the opportunity for that one-arm Kimura. So anytime you are threatening one thing, the more you can threaten others. It just puts you in a position where the person's really got to zero in on everything that's going wrong for them at the same time. And at some point, a lot of people lose focus, and you'll be able to get one thing versus the other.
And you don't need 1,000 options.
No.
You just need a couple things.
Yeah.
You just need a back and forth from every position. So whatever technique you're learning that you like, look at that technique from a little bit of a larger scope, as far as like, all right, I see how this technique is supposed to work, but let me get at least one resistance level strategy that gives me a plan B when I'm in position to execute, that gives me an alternative direction to go.
Right. It's almost like Kimura, the omoplata and the triangle. They're like mirror images of each other. If somebody pushes one way versus the other, you just switch directions.
Or if you just love submissions in general, learning how to use submissions to get better position. Yeah. Like a lot of times, if you're attacking an armbar or a triangle or an omoplata, it gives up the sweep.
Yeah,
so even though we tell you, you can be a submission focused fighter and still use it to improve positioning.
Yeah, and when I say focusing on the submissions, not so much in an effort to necessarily finish them. It's more so for that purpose of, well, people are going to defend a submission very hard, but while they're trying to defend a submission, they're opening up a lot of the other things that you can take advantage of, so that you do get in a better position to finish even easier.
Right. Now, what about in terms of, let's see, what other sacrifices do we make in jiu-jitsu that we can talk about?
Well, there's your time, obviously, because you have to take away from something to do this sport. There is obviously your body you're sacrificing.
Financial.
Yeah, because you got to pay.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu costs money.
It does cost money. It's the gis, it's the tournaments, it's the
spending
training.
All your money at the bar. You might have to sacrifice your boozing to have a better life. Yeah,
improving.
What about when you compete?
You
take a risk.
You are
sacrifice some money to see how you do.
Yeah,
that used to be what held me back from competing a lot as a young adult. Because when you're in your 20s, you're like, man, I don't want to spend $100 to go compete, because $100 to me at that time was a lot of money.
It's like $1,000 when you're 18.
Yeah,
$100. I mean, at least it was for me. It's hard to come by $100 when I was 18.
Pay to go do this and then lose.
Yeah. And then the medal you got was like this big. It looked like a silver dollar. That's about it.
But as I aged, I've learned that what I was investing in was exactly that. I was investing in my experiences, not so much trying to invest to win or pay to win. Like It was so that I could learn. Yeah. And every time I competed, I did learn something. So even if I lost, I never really felt like it was money wasted. But it was something that held me back from signing up a lot of times when I was younger.
Really?
Yeah. So.
I mean, but in addition to that, you kind of have to sacrifice your pride as well. Because if you go out there and you did have the money to win, as a younger adult, you could have went out and lost, and now you feel a certain type of way because you weren't successful.
Right.
So you have to kind of be willing to expose yourself to what happens. You're going against an unknown opponent in most cases, and you have to be able to say, okay, I'm going to put my pride on the line and put my ego to the side. I'm going to sacrifice all that for the opportunity to go out and show what I'm capable of doing.
And how good you become in this sport depends on your level of sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like how much time do you invest in learning how to train intelligently, learning how to prioritize film study over Netflix, like all these little things that you can do to enhance your growth. And it's on you. How well do you drill details? Does the coach show a move in detail and you do half the details just to get reps in? Or are you really focused on every grip exchange, every hip switch, all the little things that makes a technique not require your attributes to execute?
Yeah. Well, not even that. Not just that, but also, are you willing to sacrifice, hey, I know something that's really cool from this position. Let me show you real quick, instead of focusing on like, yes, let's do specifically what we were instructed to do, and not try to tell the instructor, hey, there's a really cool arm bar from here or something. Because little do you know, he may be about to show that, but never mind that. It's just that I've got a lower belt partner here, and I want to show them that I know something cool too.
Yeah, I think guys just get excited sometimes. They're not thinking about the big picture of, where they're at and what they're learning. Yeah. They'll throw in what if scenario, the what if guys, Those are the guys that need to kind of like sacrifice talking for a minute and just listen and do the class.
My favorite one, and I'm not going to name any names, but it was absolutely hilarious. You're showing a technique, and I can't remember if it was from close guard or half guard or what, and the guy starts asking, well, what if he did this in the middle of class? This is very first or second class. And you told him like, all right, well, you would do something like that, but right now we're focused on this. But how would it work if he did that though? I hear what you're asking. This is like specifically for a gi style situation, and this is how you would address it in gi. But what if he didn't have that on? And even somebody in the class got upset with the guys like, look, it's a gi class, so this is how we do it in gi class. What you're talking about is a no gi situation, and it was hilarious. It's good to see the room culture that way, but some people, they should sacrifice talking.
Yeah, it's interesting the mindset that individuals will take when they're learning something new and they have to be green in the room. Some people have a very hard time, as we've said multiple times in this episode already, like sacrificing ego to not be the smartest person in the room for once. Mm-hmm. Even people that generally that have a problem with that aren't very smart to begin with. So I guess how do we connect sacrifice now to real life situations?
Literally every day.
Every day, right?
You if you get up to go to a job, you are sacrificing your time, your health, your mental health to go give someone, basically you are selling moments of your life to somebody else in an effort to be able to take care of you and usually take care of somebody else.
Now, does sacrifice get easier the older you get, or does it get harder the older you get?
I don't know.
I would have to say that it gets easier. I think your mortality starts to come into mind a little bit more when you're older, and you start to think about your time more wisely. Yeah. So, like, you'll sacrifice maybe old behaviors. When you're young, you get away with so much. Sacrifice doesn't really. The idea of sacrifice is a turnoff. Yeah. You know, it's like, I don't want to give up any of the things that I enjoy or that that are fun. I can do it all. I can make this work, and why couldn't I do this into my old age if I just... And then reality hits, and all of a sudden, you know, you're like, oh, I have like 30 extra pounds I'm carrying around now.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Depending on what it is, like, I think it comes and goes throughout your life, because as a child, like, children from day one are the most selfish creatures on the world. But they're that way.
Rightfully so, right?
Yeah, because they literally can't do anything without someone else doing it for them. And as you get older, you start to learn how to be a little more independent, but you still have to be taught to share. Like, I don't know a lot of children that just naturally will go and give their belongings to other kids to play with. I think it's something that a lot of kids have to kind of be shown, like, hey, it's okay to share. You'll get it back. I promise, those kind of things. But, and not saying that all kids are that way, but I know some are. But as we get into our older years, I don't think that sacrifice is any easier as you get older. I think you're just more selective on what you sacrifice. My tangible items, I may be more likely to sacrifice those, but my time is not something that I'm probably as likely to sacrifice, because as I get closer to my last days, every moment that I have is going to count more and more. So I don't want to waste my time with people that don't add value to me. I don't want to waste my time in places that don't enhance me or give me joy. I want to be, in my older years, I want to be in the places where I'm most happy, where I'm most comfortable, where I'm most loved, and feel most myself. So if someone tries to put me in one of those places where I don't get one of those elements from it, it's probably not a sacrifice that I'm willing to make. So I think it just, like I said, it comes and goes. Your sacrifices will change as you evolve and you grow older in life. It's very tangible things when you're younger, and as you get older, it becomes more and more your time. Because, man, I remember as a kid, it seemed like to go from the start of the year until the end of the year might as well have been 10 years, because it felt like forever. But as an adult, and the more I work, my time seems to go by so quickly that I can't keep up a lot of times with the fact that it is now May, and feels like it was just January a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we're halfway to Halloween.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. Like, dude, this year is pretty much, I mean, a couple days or a couple weeks, and we'll be at the halfway point of the year.
Now, I think you kind of made me start thinking about comfort zones, and how the older we get, the harder it is to let go of our comfort zones.
It is.
If we've been relying on people, places, or things to keep us in a comfort zone for a long period of time, the idea of sacrificing that can be very daunting and overwhelming. Even though we know that might be the right move, it's like we'd almost would rather die than have to let go of certain things.
Yeah. And I mean, depending on what those things are and your age and how long you've had it attached to you, it could possibly kill you.
And you have to learn, it's a process just like anything else. If you have to sacrifice something that you've leaned on for years, and you now have to find a replacement for that thing that brought comfort, it's depending on what it is, you may have to take on a serious life change. And I think after 40, if you haven't already started to make those adjustments or let go of those things, I bet you sacrifice is more difficult.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it is. The longer you hold on to something, whether it's good or bad for you, and I would say that too much of one thing is bad for almost anybody. But the more you hold on to it, when it does get to a place that you come to realization that you have to let it go, it definitely becomes a very serious situation to sacrifice that thing that's held you where you are. But it's not necessarily a bad thing, because again, a sacrifice should be, like you said earlier, a short-term discomfort or a short-term pain for a long-term gain.
And I think about this a lot with people in the workforce who work for companies that they don't necessarily align with, or they're not super happy with their jobs, but they're making that cheddar, you know what I mean? And it's hard to let go of the money you might be making, even though this job could be slowly killing you inside.
Yeah.
And how much is your mental and physical health? Because here's the thing, if your mental health is being affected, your physical health is going to follow.
Oh yeah.
So at what point is the money you're making worth it? Because here's the thing, if you get hospitalized because of the stress you're under, and now your body is having consequences as a result of that stress, all that money you've been making is now going to your hospital bills.
Yeah.
And so I think in terms of weighing your happiness, and this is huge, like material things are not going to bring happiness. So like if you're working all this extra, you're working a job you don't like because of the money, because so you can afford the things you enjoy. Maybe you need to check what it is that, what are these things that are bringing you joy? Are they material things?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, they may not be worth it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. The more you spend trying to fill your life with these things, just know that and in time, they all will expire. They'll all reach a date where you don't get any value out of them anymore, regardless of what it is. Everything deteriorates or rusts or dissolves in time. So really identify what's most important to you in your life, and are the things that you're putting in, are they adding value to those things that you value or not?
I got a buddy of mine who just started his own business with his family, and he used to be like a marketing director for a big company, and he was making a decent salary, but wasn't happy, saw the direction the company was going, figured that he was better off trying out his own venture than staying with the company, and ended up leaving and using a large portion of his savings just to get started with this new business endeavor. And it's him and his family, and now they all work together in this new business. And it was hard for him at first, but they're finally starting to see the fruits of their labor. You know, they had to sacrifice comfort and probably certain novelties of their day-to-day life to be able to take this venture on, and it had to be a decision that the whole family made together.
Yeah.
You know, that's the other thing, is if, you know, you're the leader of the household, you don't want to be a dictator and put your family in a uncomfortable situation because you're not happy. You really have to make sure you're communicating any kind of potential sacrifices that, you know, the family's going to have to make as a result of you wanting to do something different.
Yeah, because while it may be that you're the sole income provider for your house, even if that is the case, you still want to make sure that everybody is on board and understands what I'm doing at work is putting this level of pressure and stress on me, and physically I don't think I can keep it up. So you have to be willing to, one, have that conversation with those folks that love you and let them know, hey, we're going to have to make some changes so that I can be here long term for you. But at the same time, know that we will find a way to recover, and while we are going to go through some changes, we'll still be able to be together.
And these one percenters who own all these companies, and the little sacrifices they make to make sure their employees are taken care of.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you're an owner of a large corporation or company, most of your decisions should be revolved around the culture and building the the trust in your employees who work for you. Gary V, I don't know if you know who this guy is, but he's like an influencer dude who used to own a wine business. He's a pretty big name.
Okay.
I can never pronounce his last name, but I love following his stuff, and he's a big proponent of taking care of your people. He's like, you can't expect your people to work harder than you.
Yeah.
Like, and then he says he also like if somebody's not performing well, he'll always be empathetic. Like they must have something going on like in their life. He says that the only people that I don't have empathy for, even if they make me lots of money, are like bad people. Like if you're not a good person, like at your core, then he'll fire you. And that's the kind of thing that I think would make a company flourish more than anything. Now, obviously, there's clear examples of organizations out there that don't treat that are successful, that don't treat their employees right or whatever. But for me, anyway, I feel like that route would being employee focused and culture focused, I think would lead to a more fulfilling experience if you're a leader of one of these companies.
Yeah, I mean, I hear a lot of companies in my experience, they all say that our employees are our most valuable asset in the entire organization. And that probably is true. But if you have a CEO that has got a $500,000 or $1 million salary, it's hard to actually believe that. Like, what sacrifice has that CEO made to put his associates first?
Think about, God, all these rich dudes who could literally pay off the national debt with just a fraction of their income.
Yeah.
Or end world hunger.
Yeah.
It's
and
like,
what does that look like after?
But meanwhile, our government has like a GoFundMe to help pay off the national debt. Hey, if you're a good
serious?
American, absolutely. If you're a good American and you want to help, do your part, why don't you donate here to help us?
Are you for real?
I'm dead serious.
Wow.
So I mean, this is the kind of BS that.
And you'll find out that the GoFundMe account is set up to some random dude in Arkansas, and all that money is going straight into his account.
It's funny too. Do you remember the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge?
Yes.
So those foundations, the ALS they've made so much money from that viral thing, right? And it turned out like a lot of the people that worked for the company just ended up getting much larger salaries than money actually going to the research and cure.
That's awful.
So I mean, that's just the reality. So when I go to the grocery store, when people tell, "Oh, do you want to donate to kids who've been abused or kids with cancer or whatever," and round up, I go, "No," because I have no idea where this money is actually going. I'm much more apt to like donate money to somebody in person or to a church or something that I can see where that money's going to.
Right.
Even a church, you got to be careful, man, because they could be putting that money towards
the wrong pastor.
Yeah, or crazy production that doesn't matter when you're supposed to be in a place of worship, and meanwhile they've got they're trying to hire what do you call those like trapeze artists or whatever.
Oh my God! What? What kind of churches have you been to?
Like
Good
these
Lord.
mega churches that put so much into the show above the worship.
I mean, that's part of what changed the church that I went to. I grew up in one church, and as I got older, I was like, okay, I want to try something different. I went to a different church. The minister was very focused on money, and everything was give money, donate money, pay Apostles Alliance, pay your tithe, pay $1,000 at Passover and Feast of Leavened Bread and Feast of Tabernacles. And I'm like, okay, I never heard of a lot of this, and it's in the Bible. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe this has got some legitimacy to it. Had to say it 3 times. I couldn't get it out.
That's a tough word.
It is. But one particular Sunday, I'm at church, and I already had a bad taste in my mouth, but the straw that broke the camel's back is they're taking up an offering. There's a guest speaker there. The people are going up to the altar. They're putting their tithe down in the envelope on the altar. And one lady, she goes and does it, and she's on her knees, and she prays, and she leaves her tithe there, and she goes back to the back. The guest minister, he walks up, and, he's on the microphone, and he goes and picks up her envelope and looks at it and says, $20. And he just kind of tossed it out in the air like this and got back on the microphone and was like, I want everybody up here to come and make an offering of $1,020 right now. Can't even make this up. And so he's a guest minister, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, now I heard the other 3 reasons you said to give $1,000, but this one, what is this one about? Why right now? You looked at her offering, threw it on the ground, as if this woman's $20 had no value, no meaning, nothing to it at all. That could have been her last for all he knew. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, maybe he's going to collect this money and give it to that lady that just put that offering down. And so I let it go for a few minutes, and he keeps asking people, and people start coming, giving the money, and like, supposedly. And then so they didn't say what they were going to do with it, but then the minister of the church, he gets up as well. And I'm thinking, okay, he's either going to say what this money is for, or he's going to check that guy and tell him, like, no, we're not going to do that. He gets up, and he backpacks with him and starts asking for the $1,020 from everybody else. And then he calls other people out like, hey, you paid your Apostles Alliance this month? Another $120-something. And I'm like, nope, not going to do this. This isn't my church. This isn't where I belong. So luckily that was just before COVID. So we weren't going to be going back to the church anyway, but that was the last time I went there because I was like, yeah, this isn't the place for me. This is a sacrifice in reverse. This dude wants me to sacrifice so that he can drive Mercedes-Benzes and not do anything for a living but this.
And people wonder why there's so many people out there who criticize and are reluctant to go to a church because these ministers sacrifice the message for $1.
They sacrifice your salvation for their financial benefit. And the church I grew up in is nothing like that. I go to that church again now because that's where I feel most comfortable. That's where I feel most connected. So I don't have somebody every Sunday saying like, hey, we got this offering, that offering, this one, and oh yeah, by the way, we're taking up donations.
Yeah, I think in places like that, it's tough. There's some people who have a really hard time thinking for themselves in those situations.
Yeah.
They need to be told everything to do in their life.
Because you catch somebody in a vulnerable moment in their life, and you tell them the right thing that they need to hear in that moment just to give them enough encouragement to take 2 more steps to continue to push forward in life. And you tell them something that sounds like it's based on biblical fact evidence, and it gives them that motivation. So yeah, they're willing to pay for that because it's like, yeah, I want to be able to keep pushing forward. And the right minister will do the right thing and lead you the right way, but the wrong one will take advantage of you because he knows he can.
And I guess to spin this back to sacrifice on that particular person who may feel vulnerable, may feel like they're looking for a community or a church or jiu-jitsu, whatever it may be, is to make sure that no community or no leader in a community should ever make you feel like you need to go without or hurt you financially or whatever for you to like get ahead. I mean, how can I word this better?
I think the way I would word it is, yes, life requires sacrifice, but no sacrifice.
These are desperate people I'm talking about.
No sacrifice should come at the cost of your well-being or just being able to operate from day to day.
Jiu-jitsu gyms operate this way too sometimes. Like they
you're
want
right.
you to
They
pay
do.
for a belt promotion.
Yep.
They want you to pay for seminars. You got to buy their uniforms, Now, some of this stuff, like the uniform thing, a lot of times that's how the jiu-jitsu place stays in business.
It is.
And it's what a lot of people don't realize. It's like not really about building a code as much as it is keeping the lights on.
Right. But if it's a scenario where they say, okay, well, we sell gis every 3 months and you have to buy a new one every 3 months.
Yeah.
It's
ridiculous.
That's not normal. That's not okay, because a brand new white gi should last you more than 3 months.
Yeah.
Especially if you are training 3 to 4 days a week. Like, a brand new white gi should last you a very long time. So it shouldn't require you to purchase a new one every time it's time to purchase a new gi. We just want to make sure everybody's gi stay clean or stay white. That's not something that a good jiu-jitsu studio would require of its students.
And you can ask these questions up front before you even join the gym. A lot of times they'll tell you straight up how they operate.
Yeah. But you got to know what questions to ask.
Yeah.
So it's best to watch the school first. Let them give you some information. Take your time and understand the culture. Talk to some of the students there outside of there so that you get the opportunity to kind of get them to speak freely. If people tell you dirt about their school in the parking lot, then you probably don't want to go there.
Yeah. And don't lock yourself into any contracts without reading the fine print.
Right. Because if you are supposed to be there for a year and you leave early, like, just know, like, you probably shouldn't have signed up for a whole year program if you weren't going to do a whole year.
Now, from a business owner perspective,
that's great.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I know at our school we did contracts for a little bit. We still offer them to some degree. But we don't want to lock people in. So we just say, hey, we're going to give you a special rate if you do a year contract. This is an example. I don't even know if we still do this right now. But for an example, we give you a special rate. You lock in for the contract for 12 months. If you need to cancel, all you owe us is just like either an extra month or half of what would have been on. Like, if you got 6 months left, you owe us 3 months as a fee.
Yeah.
And all that's in the fine print. We explain it. And then you have people that just bounce.
Yeah.
And here's what I think a contract is supposed to be, is a compromise. It's an agreement. I'm going to give you a special rate to train here, but you're committing to this year. If you don't want to, if you end up trying to break that commitment, then you're going to owe us this amount of money.
Yeah.
And I've had guys who literally said, oh, I got hurt, can you pause my membership and stuff? And then you get into this like guilt thing where you're like, yeah, let me pause. And then lo and behold, this guy's training somewhere else now.
Yeah.
And, at the time when you try to set contracts in place, if you really want to enforce them, you better have the finances and the lawyers to help you do that. Because me as a small jiu-jitsu school owner, I didn't, what am I going to come after this guy for his membership? I'm like,
right.
So at that point, it's just it's a respect thing. So, like, people like that who just leave or they bail on their contracts, trust me, that dude, the martial arts school owner or whatever business owner, like small business, they're going to remember you.
Oh, yeah.
So don't expect the same treatment or customer service that you would have gotten had you just owned up to what you were supposed to do in that agreement. But, that's life, man. People will get away with what they can get away with. Yeah. So,
this one line you sent me earlier, I wanted to make sure we put it on here because I thought it was pretty cool. Sacrifice isn't punishment. It's the price of alignment. I thought that's pretty cool, just because sacrifice shouldn't necessarily hurt you. It should be something that helps align you to where you want to be or what you want to be in the future.
Just like if you meet somebody you start a relationship with, and let's say you already have certain sacrifices in place in your life that keep you sane, but this other person indulges and you allow yourself to start to indulge as a result because you want to keep this person.
You've sacrificed who you are or your character.
Your alignment, right?
Yeah.
And, but you might have to sacrifice that person who you may like and you may enjoy, but because they don't have the same alignment as you as far as your values, holding true to who you are and what's important, what's made you happy, what's kept you healthy, regardless of who comes into your life, because people will come and go, but the right ones who are in that same alignment will stick around.
Yeah. I thought it was a pretty good statement, man.
That is a great statement.
Yeah.
I wish I could say I came up with it, but
You could have took credit for it.
I could have, but
I would have.
let's be honest. You can't believe anybody is original in the things they say anymore.
I know it's tough, man.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's like life, like everything, just like in jiu-jitsu, all things that are old come back around as new again and may have a different name.
Now, we can honestly say that this show isn't scripted.
No,
We
it's
have,
not.
I mean, clearly it's not.
Yeah, we make plenty. Like, do you think I wrote down the fact that squirrels' tails come off pretty easy to save them? That's not something that I scripted. I literally thought of that in the moment.
We have like notes that we'll bounce to if the conversation gets stale, but for the most part, this is like off the cuff, completely improvised for the full 45 minutes to an hour. And I think that human experience, podcasting is already popular, but with the expansion of AI and stuff, I feel like you can tell, even as good as AI is nowadays with like voice, like the way it can just automate Joe Rogan's voice, for example.
Oh, yeah.
And Joe Rogan saying things that he didn't say.
Right.
There's inflections that I just feel like are so human nature that like when I hear AI, I feel like I can tell when something's AI. And I know it's it's like more difficult now than it ever has been. But man, when I'm flipping through or doom scrolling, whatever, and I see a video or I see it, to me, most everything seems like AI. And when it's not, it's usually because it's somebody who I know. So I just feel like the human experience with the people that are closest to us becomes more genuine because it's like, that's the content we crave more now.
Yeah,
it's like I don't even know what this is. This is some news thing. This is some political thing. This is this famous person, whatever. I don't even know if this famous person is real or alive for real or what.
Yeah.
But this guy I just did jiu-jitsu class with, or this guy I just saw in church, or this guy who owns the grocery store that I shop at down the street.
Yeah,
like I know this dude.
Yeah,
So it's like I feel like. From that perspective, it's makes our relationship stronger.
Yeah, I mean it's easier to have a real life connection with a real person. Right. I occasionally will ask Alexa questions, and Lord, I hope she ain't listening right now. But I'll ask questions because random things. We've sacrificed a whole lot of ourselves to technology, and I asked one day, like, "Hey, what is the weather like outside today?" It's like she told me, and I was like, okay, I can't remember. Is that good enough to ride my bike in, or would I be better off in the truck? And she literally just responded. I didn't realize it was still listening, but talking to myself out loud, because I do, it's fine. Nobody, I mean, what's wrong?
It's normal.
Right.
It's okay.
You don't talk to yourself? So as I asked, she was like, oh yeah, it's a great day to ride your BMW. I was like, how do you know that I have a BMW? It's like, I didn't know that. I guess it was just a lucky guess. BS. If you were going to say any kind of motorcycle, you've got Suzuki, Kawasaki, Yamaha, Honda, at least 20 other brands of bikes. And it goes directly to the one that I just got. It just, in that moment, I feel like, all right, I've sacrificed my soul to something because this thing knows things that it shouldn't know because I hadn't told it.
It's funny you say that because I will use ChatGPT to get feedback on our episodes. Mm-hmm. So one of the editing softwares I use will download the whole transcript of everything we say. And I'll just copy and paste that into chat, and it'll tell me like, hey, yeah, you did, this was your stronger points. These were where you can improve. And the question came up of like, yeah, I'm a black, can you tell who's a black belt? Or like, can you tell what belts we are? Mm-hmm. And they were like, yeah, somehow it knew you were a brown belt and not a black belt. I know that sounds terrible. I know that sounds terrible, but somehow Chad knew. And I'm like, I didn't say what belt colors we were. I just said we were two jiu-jitsu guys who are talking about philosophy
Chad's
of life.
a jerk.
And Chad was just like,
there's nothing wrong with
I was like, how do you know
belt?
James is a brown belt? And they did the same shit. It was just like, oh, lucky guess.
I just guessed. No, you didn't. Your chat is connected to my chat, and when I'm asking for like, hey, what should I say in my promotion speech, it passed that information from me to you, and so it's all in the same place. I refuse to believe that this this thing is not connected all at one place and all the information's in one place. We've sacrificed ourselves to the system. That's all.
Well, I think obviously it listens to things, it sees things, and I think it can also predict things. So, for example, if you're the type of person who's always asking Alexa certain things, even though you may not have not have mentioned that you ride a BMW bike, there's probably things that line up in your personality that's like, this is the kind of guy that would have a BMW bike.
Maybe
it just might have made that prediction based on other things that
it probably got it from my shopping history.
Yeah,
because I bought a couple things here and there on Amazon.
Yeah,
and it probably said, okay, you bought this, this, and this. These are BMW accessories for a motorcycle. You probably drive a BMW motorcycle. But for it to tell me that I just made a lucky guess, that's the part that bothers me.
Well, it just goes to show you how in today's day and age, we've all sacrificed privacy.
Yeah, we have.
And I think it'll continue to be that way, and even stronger sense of no privacy the longer time goes on.
Yeah. We kind of rabbit holed here, so
pull ourselves back out. I try to connect back to sacrifice.
I kept trying to say it, if nothing else.
Well, what's our time here?
Dude, 61 minutes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Not bad. Well, we'll take that. Let me go ahead and get us queued up for the end here.
There you go.
Thank you guys for listening to episode 13 of Be on the Mats podcast, where we talk about how jiu-jitsu philosophies connect with real-world things. I could have used some kind of better word there.
Words.
You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify is where our full episodes are. You can find us at the tag at Be on the Mats. That's 4 words all squished together, Be on the Mats. Something else I wanted to ask you guys, if you enjoy our episodes and you have stories that you want us to hear, we would love to hear from you. So we have an email. It's beonthemats@gmail.com. If you ever want to leave a voice note or a story that you want us to read out loud and go over here and maybe give our thoughts on, we would love to hear it.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Anything else, James?
No, I think that's it, man. We sacrificed quite a bit of time today.
Not bad. Over 60 minutes. That's
over
good.
60 minutes if you count the first 8 minutes that aren't included.
Yeah, that's true. Almost 70 minutes.
James on the Mat podcast.
The James
7
on the
minutes.
Mat. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, you guys probably won't see that.
Oh, of course.
Thanks, guys.